Now it's getting to the time of year when you get to carp venues and there's fish on the top. Now, have you ever been to a venue where you've drawn and all you can see is black shadows on the surface? Now, the best way to catch these fish is what's called mugging or dobbing. So in this video, I'm going to show you the rig, the baits, and how to go about catching them fish that are on the top on these red hot days, because it's one of the most deadliest summer tactics. So let's get stuck into it. Now, you heard me mention in the intro about this is one of the deadliest methods in the summer months. So what it is basically mugging or dobbing carp. So when the fish are on the top, you're not feeding any bait, you're just flicking the rig towards them and trying to catch them that way. Now, it may seem simple, but there's a few key aspects of it to help you get the most out of your fishing and catch them bigger fish. Now, one thing with mugging and dobbing is the fish are a big stamp. So they're a large fish and it's just a nice way to catch. You'll see, if we do catch them in the video as we go on, how big these fish can be. So you're going to need strong tackle about it, and this is what it's all about. This rig is all about strength and durability, but having the right things. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the rig, then I'm going to talk about the baits we use and how we go about it. So first of all, I've obviously got a power kit. Now, the elastic I've chose for this is a 17-inch jaw slip. You may think, God, that's a bit extreme, but these fish can go up to £20 up and down the country, and it's not uncommon anymore. So a nice strong elastic keeps you in control of the fish. The last thing you want to say, like 11 jaw slip or 11 holler when you're trying to fish for these big fish. You're just going to get bottom out and broke, and it's just going to make things a lot more difficult to try and catch. So nice strong elastics, you can be nice and control, but not too strong. It's still soft enough, but it's just nice and control of the fish. Now, main line, I'm going to use 021 for all my carp fishing. This is because I might put a hook length up to 019 on as well. So I want a nice drawable main line, 021 power line. Now, you may notice the depth between my pole tip and my float. This is because I don't want it too close, so I don't want to spook any fish. So I'll just come back to that in a minute after I've talked about my rig. Then literally I've just got a Preston mugger on. So a nice short stubby float, and the one thing I like about this is it's got a short stubby bristle, but it's visible. The thing with mugging is when you're fishing, say short pole, long pole, or down the edge, you're in a set area, so you can see your float nice and easily. With this, you're going to be flying around your peg, flicking it into different backgrounds of water, and it just makes a little bit thicker tip, just a little bit easier to see. Now under that, I've just got 3 number 8s, just straight under it, and then nothing down to my hook length. This is because I want a nice free falling bait, and when the fish suck it in, I'm going to get a positive indication as it is on my float because it's so shallow up in the water. So just everything under my float. Now if you like a shot down the line, you can just pull one down, but I just want that nice free natural fall so the fish is not spooked by anything falling a little bit too quick or a little bit too fast. So Preston mugger float, nice short stubby float, 3 number 8s on there, just nice and easy. Then I've got nothing down the line, and then literally I've just got a new pre-tied KKH 017 to a 16, and it's just got a medium band on there. So a nice simple setup. If I do feel like I need to fish for bigger fish, I wouldn't be scared to put a 14 on, but I just find a 16 is nice and strong and it can get everything in. And if I was fishing for some smaller fish up in venues, I'd probably use an 18. So just depending on your hook length for where you're going and the venues. Now I'm going to go back to the length of line and talk about depth of the rig. So the whole rig in total is actually 5 foot long. So I've just got 5 foot from the bottom of my top kit to where my DAC one is there, on my bead. And then I set this rig in between probably like 14-inch up until about 2.5 foot. Now the reason why I do this is what you find is a lot harder days when the fish are a little bit more spooky. Having the float further away from your hook bait is going to make him a little less spooky. Now your float makes a little bit of noise when it goes in the water. Now today we can't slap it over because I'm here at Aston fishery near Bridgenorth, but places like the Glebe, Makins, Larford, places like that you can slap your rig over, and that's really important to slap your rig over and keep everything tight. So sometimes your float makes a little bit too much noise and it just spooks them. So what I find best at them days is have the float further away. So them days where they're a little bit shy and there's not many fish around, you've got to be a little bit careful, have a little bit further away. But the optimum depth I like to fish at and I like to start at is 18 inch. I just feel like it's further enough away from a rig but it's not too far away where I'm not going to get the indications in the bite. So 18 inch is what I look for, but I can have anything from 2.5 foot up to 14 inch. So send anything around there, just depending on, I will happily move that around. Now, length of line, if you have too long a length of line, it just makes it a little bit harder to control your float. You're going to be flicking around, you're going to be moving your pole around a lot, fish that are swimming through, balled up in sort of reed beds, stuff like that, open water. So you want a nice controllable length of line. If you can control it with a longer piece of line, then happily use that. If you need a little bit shorter line, then just use a little bit shorter. But I like just 5 foot whole rig in total, just keeps everything dead simple. When I set my rig up, I just set it to that, and I know when I'm fishing I can go about that way. So little tips for it is what depths from 14 inch up into 2.5 foot. You'd be surprised how many fish you can actually catch when you've got your float further away. But little key aspects, you got your short little stubby float of your mugger, little shot there, nothing down the line, and into your hook bait. Now, hook bait wise, I've literally got a small tub, a small bag here of red pellets from Sonia Baits. I've got a small little tub of hard pellets as well from Sonia Baits. They've got some red ones as well in there. That's what I've had them for years, these, just keep them in a little bag. Now I've got 4 and 6 mils there. I've got the original there of pellets as well, and I just like to mix and match of what I want to put on the hook. I think you have days where a normal pellet's better or a red one's better. Now they're probably the best hook bait I've probably found is a really like pale pellet. It's like a pasty pellet, is like Jamie sort of calls it, like a pale pellet, like a 6 mil. Just thinks it sinks a little bit slower, it's a little bit lighter, and I just think it's a little bit more attractive. So you don't need loads and loads of hook baits. You can just, I've got some pellets in 4 and 6 mil, 6 mil pasty ones, 4 mil red ones, and then I've got 6 mil red and normal ones as well. So dead simple. You don't need loads. You could put pop an 8 on, but I just feel like an 8 sinks a little bit too quick and a little bit too much noise. You want a nice little subtle plop to try and attract them fish into your peg. So you could use up and down the country maggots, daub with meat, but today I'm just going to be using pellets to try and catch these fish. So enough waffling, I want to get stuck into it. There's a lot of fish behind me, all on the top, ready, waiting for us to try and catch them. So I want to get stuck into that now and see if we can get stuck into some of these big carp here at Aston. Right, so let's try and, we've talked about rigs, we've talked about baits, we've talked about depth sort of things. So what I'm going to do is grab my rig. Now to start off with, I'm just going to start 18 inches, like I spoke about, different depths in my little clip. Now I'm just going to pull, I have nothing down my line, and I'm just going to put a nice pasty pellet on, just to see to start with. Now there is a lot of fish in front of me here. Obviously it's a bright sunny day, we're only on the lake, we've come to where the fish are to obviously demonstrate this. So what I'm going to try and do is, you can't slap your rig over here at Aston Air, so I'm just going to have to like plop it in front of fish. Now that doesn't make it as straight as slapping the rig over, but fishery rules are fishery rules, so we have to abide by it. So one thing with mugging as well is people go too far too quickly. What you don't want to do is start pushing your pole all over the place. Fish will naturally push away from pressure. So what I want to do is I want to start, I can see a fish I want to target now, and if I don't catch him, I'm going to move along and just chase my way out. So I've got my pellet on. I've got my rig in position now. I just want to be nice and careful with this. I don't want to start like flicking it around and making loads of commotion and trying to be too fast and too aggressive. So if you do get one, it is a quite quick and instant response. So all I'm going to do is just flick it in front of it, that fish. Normally you can tell whether they're going to have it, literally because they make a noise and that fish is spooked away. So we'll try the next one. Just want to plop it in front of one. Like I said before, normally you can sort of tell when the fish is going to have it because they literally make a little beeline towards it. Now sometimes obviously they don't, and they are quite hard to catch, but there's one just popped up there in front of me. See, look, they are quite crafty to catch. Now one thing I will say is when you flick it in front, is you want to try and make it easy for the fish to sort of like intercept your bait. You don't want to flick it miles away. That's why it's important, just a bit of pole control. You want to flick it so right in front of the fish, where if it falls past them, all they have to do is suck at it and turn in. They don't want to move around too quickly. So you see we're flicking round. take my time with it. So I've only got six sections of pole out at the minute. Now the key is to look for ones that are not too high in the water. So what I mean by that is ones that are just probably about 10 or 12 inches below surface. This just enables you, it makes it a little bit easier to catch some. As where if you go a little bit too shallow, the ones that are cruising right, they're not going to be able to take your bait properly. Because your bait will sink miles too quick past the fish, and they're a lot harder to catch. But turn and have a little look at it then. That's what you'll find. You'll have little spells where fish will just come and look at it. You'll flick it the right one. You'll flick it one that will have it. Like I said before, I don't want to go too far too quickly. Just want to make sure. There you go. There's a little pod of them as well. So that one there, them ones there, there's like 3 or 4, and normally when you find that, they are a lot easier to catch. But so you got a 17-inch jaw slit, just nicely under control. That's why you need a bit stronger elastic with this, because you do catch some big fish with it. See at Aston today, the fish we're catching are big. They are well known in this lake for being big. It's about important just to make sure you're in the right little area, not making too much noise, just mimicking a little pellet falling through. And like I say, when you find a group of fish, so you imagine now if you had like an 11's hollow on, you'd just be in the middle of the lake and you wouldn't be in control of the fish. But I feel, because I've got a 17-inch jaw slip on, I'm nicely in control of the fish. I'm not pulling its head off, and just keep it nice and low. And also I've got my landing net handle at probably 4 metres. That just enables me, when I keep it nice and low, you see the fish is on the top now, just enables me to, when the fish is in distance, I've got a nice big landing net, and it just enables me when the fish pops up, so not yet, now, get him in the net, big scoop. Now one thing that people do is I see people try and lift the landing net handle. Last thing you want to do is that, so just literally shuffle him down. That's a big fish, that is. Shuffling down into the net and hold him with your spreader block. So your spreader block right on the thing, and then it's a bit easier. So he's gone a bit lively still. Got a bit mad, but yeah, this is the thing. Ooh, the hook's popped out, isn't that? That's the thing. I don't want to. I try and hold him up, but if he starts to move around, I'm not gonna bother doing it that way. But it's a lovely fish. Credit to Tony here. Aston there. No, I don't want to. I'm not gonna bother. He's too big. So I'm gonna pop him back, nice and gently. But yeah, that's the size of fish you can catch when you're mugging. Nice big fish. So we'll just try and have another one. I'm doing with just my bands popped off. So sometimes when you're hunting around for them fish, the best way to, wrong hook length box, I don't need an F1 hook length. The best way to try and actually catch a mugger is when they're in pairs. Now, there's always the time of year, normally around spawning time, which you see that they have a little spell of 1 or 2 weeks where you see some massive mugging weights up and down the country. Now that's literally just because the fish are obviously pairing up, but they're still eating a little bit. And then what you'll find is, I think we're at that point on this lake now, where they've been, I think they spawned this week, so they're just a little bit reluctant to eat anything, but I'd say keep it nice and thingy. a little pod of fish right close to me here, so I'm just going to get 6 metres out again. And just flick him in front of them. Now, I'd love to slap the rig over, but you can't. Just makes everything nice and straight. You'll soon know. A lot of the time you find when they actually want it, they'll literally tail up for it. And that's when you know you've hit the jackpot. But it's just important, ring your change of your hook baits. So you can fish a little like pasty one, you can fish a little red one, you can fish like a normal one. So there's a little pod of fish there. Like I said before, what you'll find is, if you flick it in the right place, so either on the fish's nose or just so it comes in contact with it when it drops in line with it, you'll find you'll hook a fair few fish, but there's a fish coming from the right now. That was a lovely fish to catch, to be honest. There you go. So that one there, I've flicked it in and it's actually come towards me. So you can see the X95 just holding up nice and well there. It's got 17 jaw slip, long free carp kit as well. So you see, nice little effectiveness. You just got to flick it around. Make sure you get all them key things that I've said in the first part of the video. Your depth, your hook length, how far you have your float away from your hook, what sort of bait you're going to be using. Don't get me wrong, you can fish at other venues up and down the country. You might be able to use meat, you might be able to use maggots. There might be a better way. It's not always the same at every venue, but I've always found when I've come here, little pasty, you either want a little normal Coppins pellets, so like the hard pellets from Sonia Baits, normal colour, the original colour, or the red colour, and then little pasty ones that we've got, just a lighter colour. Just feel that they sink a little bit slower. But like I said, with these big carp, you just want to keep everything nice and in one motion. Don't be trying to pull the heads off. They are special fish, they are big. So you keep it nice and low. If it wants to run, let it run. Just keep my top kit low. You're at the strongest point of your pole on your top kit. But also, you've got that long landing net handle. Just makes it, and then big landing net. So it makes them fish a lot easier to net, and you're not pulling their heads off and trying to shuffle them in a small net. As well, I personally do like a 16-inch carbon for all my F1 fishing, but with this style of fishing, see that there's popped up now, straight in the net, not messing around. I'm not going to lift my landing net up. Same again, keep everything tight, lift him up to your spreader, and he's not happy again. So he really wanted that one. That was right down that one. You can normally tell when they beeline for your hook bait, that's when you know you're going to have them. So I'll try and hold him up, but like I said before, they are a bit lively. I don't want to keep them at the water too long. Get all your tactics right, from depth to bait, you can catch great fish like this one. So I'm going to slip him back now. Probably have a few more, to be honest, because there's a lot of fish in front of us and it's a fun way of catching. But don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.